everybody. It's your girl Angie. Welcome back to Kiss My Cheeks TV. Let's jump right into the real world. This is Homecoming, the LA edition, and this is episode 4. This episode was a good episode. Not too much drama, but I still got some shit to say to a bitch named Beth. Let's just jump right into it. I just want, hey Eric, thank you for coming back. I really want to say this in case anybody in MTV production is watching. I really enjoyed this homecoming. Now I know a couple of you people in the chat was telling me to watch that 20 somethings on Netflix. It's kind of like the real world. I can't get into it. I couldn't get past episode 1. Episode 1 is just like how I quit watching the real world. Everybody want to hook up with somebody in the house, and somebody shy, somebody awkward. Everybody else want to fuck each other. I'm over it. I couldn't even get past the first episode, and I was over it. Now, if the 20-something show get good, just put in the chat or the comments which episode it start to get good. But for now, I agree. That's not a reviewable show. I like the nostalgia of the real world, and I love the homecomings. I want more. Please don't let LA be the last one. Again, we ain't got to jump over to, I think, San Diego or whichever one was next. We could skip over 3, but I would like to see more. Even if we jump into, skip a couple, jump into Vegas, Austin. I like this homecoming. But let's jump into the episode. At the beginning of the episode, it kind of feels like everyone made up. Everyone was kumbaya. Oh, but let's get over to the yacht. It's time to have a yacht party. Let's get into it. I wanna address that because I remember that flashback. They said David and Puck had a spitting incident on the challenge. I thought I was one of the people who watched the challenge since season 1 when it started. Obviously, I didn't because I don't recall David or Puck ever being on the challenge. I was like, Puck spit on David. I was like, when the hell they ever even see each other? And then they showed that scene. I was like, I ain't never seen this. And Amazon Prime doesn't go back all the way to season 1. Why, I don't know. So I can't even go back and watch it. I might have to find that on YouTube. But I didn't. That was brand new information to me. Marlon, you got T. You said it's gonna be NOLA Real World Homecoming gonna be next. Who the hell was in New Orleans? I done forgot. Was that the one with Ashley? Was Ashley in New Orleans with Corey and them? I don't care who was on it. I like Homecoming. I want to see more of them. Dabu, the Puck thing was so bad. I ain't see it. I guess that was what, the challenge season 1? Why would they even ask David on the challenge if he got kicked off the regular show? And Puck. He the wrong person to ever invite to anything. And then the way I watched that scene and the way Beth immediately stuck up for the white man, and it was the white man spitting in somebody's face. Spitting in the face is instant fighting actions. And if you whoop somebody's ass because they spit in your face, they deserve the ass whooping, and you shouldn't have to go to jail because they assaulted you first. And the way everybody rallied around Puck, now mind you, I ain't watched that season. I don't know what kind of foolishness David might have been into. But the way you rally around somebody, like if Puck goes, everybody go, and everybody was getting ready to go, I was like, oh, this some bullshit. But mind you, put in the comments what season of the challenge was that. Was it season 1 or 2? Because maybe I'm not an original like I thought I was. Because I don't remember none of that. Just like when New York got spit, New York should have whooped her ass. I agree. Pumpkin. Look at the dog. Soon as I get started doing the video, now he want to come in here and start barking. I ain't about to pay him attention. Let's get into the video. The first conversation I thought was interesting was Tammy talked about. Can y'all hear the dog barking? He about to start barking. I might have. Hold on. Let me just get up and let him in real quick. The door ain't even closed. Get in here, Luke. It wasn't even locked. You just want to start barking. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Eric, you said it was the first season of the challenge. So I ain't watched season 1. I got to go find that on YouTube or somewhere. But let's get into how Tammy met Kenny Anderson. I thought that was a funny story of how she met him and she didn't know him. And I believe her because I didn't know who Kenny Anderson was until Tammy came on that reunion show and said that was her husband. I didn't know who he was either. And I liked how she said, we was in a restaurant and the lady was like, oh my God. And he was like, I ain't got time for this tonight. And she was like, you're Tammy from the real world. That was a cute story. That was a cute moment. Let's move on over to this yacht. The way they threatened to quit was BS. I agree. I only seen that one clip. Was David on bullshit or was Puck on bullshit? Either way, I don't care what David said to the man. You don't spit on people. If somebody make you so mad that you cannot throw hands, you better woosah and keep it moving, because if you spit on somebody, you deserve an ass whooping. Let's move on from that because Beth pisses me off this entire episode. I'm one of the people that don't like Beth. So it don't take much for Beth to piss me off. Let's get into Irene because I did criticize Irene last week. I'm like, Irene sitting up here listening to everybody tea, but what's her tea? So Irene done ran down that she done have 4 marriages. I'm not one of them traditionalist type of people. So people being married multiple times is not like a oh type of thing for me. But I just appreciate her story. I appreciate her saying, well, she was married and divorced when she was on the show and she didn't want anybody to judge her. I don't think they would have. I mean, a lot of people run off and do stuff as soon as they graduate high school and be like, why the hell I marry him? You know, I wouldn't judge that. But mind you, they way older than me, so move on. What she say? The second marriage was the one we saw on TV. That one lasted 9 years. The third one lasted 13 years. And then she just got with her new husband, Phil, who was the love of her life. I respect Irene because a lot of women will stay in some bullshit just to say, but I got a husband. A lot of women love to throw that I got a husband in your face to the single women, but they be sitting at home miserable as hell. Just, they got a husband, but they unhappy as hell. I'm not mad at Irene for saying, I don't love you anymore. I'm not happy in this and I'm out. I'd rather start over than to be with you. I'm not mad at her for doing that, and I'm not mad at Irene for consistently and constantly giving love another chance. Like, that one ain't work. Let me try it. I'm happy for Irene. She's one of my favorite people, but as she was telling the story, I went up for her. I said, I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate her putting that out there, and maybe that might motivate some of these miserable ass bitches with husbands to go find some happiness alone. But let's get into the drama of the show. All the drama of the show centered around that bitch Beth. And yeah, that was it. The first drama we see, and I don't know if it's in order, it's just the order I put on my notes. Let's get into Beth versus John. John is going to perform Irene's Vow Renewal. I thought it was a wedding. Mind you, I said they could have kept this wedding. I ain't have to see Irene renew her vows on this boat, but we had to do something. But that wasn't entertaining to me. I would have rather seen them go out on some jet skis, water sports, something like that. But anyway, we got to see Irene renew her vows on this boat, and John is going to officiate. Beth and her feelings, because John, why you want to officiate her stuff and you wouldn't even come to my wedding, and you told me you ain't see no kind of God in my life, so you wouldn't even do my wedding. Well, bitch, you told him you ain't have room for God in your life. That was a statement you made. Maybe if you prayed, you might not be that much of a bitch and people might like you. But, you know, believe what you want to believe. I don't want to get down on nobody religious beliefs, because only one person can get you into heaven or hell, and that's you. So believe what you want to believe, Beth. But how dare you? I agree. If John is so much of your best friend, how dare you use the moment to want to criticize him and come down on some drama on TV? You could have called John, what, on your first year anniversary and say, John, why you ain't do my wedding? You've been friends with this man the entire 13 years you've been married. Have you ever brought this up, or is it just something you want to bring up for the show? This is why I don't like Beth. Beth is starting drama for the show. And then you have to throw Irene under the bus. You wouldn't marry me, and I only got one marriage. At least she on number 4. And I'm like, bitch, just because you got one marriage don't mean it's God-fearing, and does not mean that it's good. Does not mean that it's good. Beth aggravated me with that, because she was looking for a moment, and the two people on the show that liked you, it's kind of like you just ran over the bus with them so you could have a moment. But let's get into the biggest drama of it all. What you say, Dabu? Beth was trying to steal spotlight. She was. If John didn't want to do your wedding, deal with it. And he explained it. Like, when you got married 13 years ago, he was still being, you know, brought into his pastorship, whatever it's called. I don't know the exact term, but he was being mentored. And the pastor that mentored him, and a lot of pastors do it. When I got married, most pastors, I don't want to speak for all, most pastors are not going to marry you if they don't, one, counsel you. They want to know what they put in their stamp on. So usually they want to counsel you to get to know you in the couple. And most of them damn sure ain't going to marry you if he don't even know you. Now, I don't know. Out of friendship, John could have did it. I'm going to play both sides. Out of friendship, John could have did it and prayed over their souls and been clean with Jesus. He could have married him, but I ain't a pastor. I don't know how deep that goes on the pastor list. But from just my experience in my wedding, if we didn't have marriage counseling with our pastor, he was not going to marry us. And I'm assuming most pastors are like that. But Beth, you happy? You've been married for 13 years, had your kids. Why are you harboring on to this? And Beth didn't want anybody to have a moment. Like, every time somebody did something, it was like Beth had to be the one to bring it to the show. Let's talk about this. Let's get into drama number 2. This is why I'm 100% on board with David calling Beth a Karen, because what she did was some Karen shit. Number 1, it ain't had nothing to do with you. Now, Beth A, they sitting at the dinner table. Were they eating or waiting on their food? I don't know what they were doing, but they at the dinner table, and David is vaping. Automatically, Beth A just gets up from the table and she removes herself. She didn't cause no drama. She didn't huff. She didn't puff. She didn't slam her chair. She just removed herself and said, I don't want to be around the smoke. Now, Beth A, I might get their last names wrong. The lesbian Beth did assume that it was weed in the vape pen. Now, me, I wouldn't automatically assume when people are vaping that they're vaping weed, because I know a lot of people that vape their tobacco. So for them both to go to he over here smoking weed, and I believe somebody did say it ain't even legal. And the last time I checked, it was legal in LA. But I ain't the law. And then Lesbian Beth said, weed, I'm going to be serious because I want to say something shady. Lesbian Beth said weed was her drug of choice. I don't want to come for nobody's sobriety or they drug of choice, but I know people had to go 35 years clean and sober off of no weed. I ain't know weed mess up your life all like that. Now I know she had the alcohol too, which I can understand, but I ain't know the weed mess you up like that. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, I thought she was gonna say some meth, some cocaine. You know, I ain't really heard people say weed was my drug of choice. Like, weed is a lot of people's drug of choice because it's not taboo to smoke weed. Maybe it just ain't. Maybe it's just not to me. I don't know. Let's move on from that. What pissed me off, you know, Beth got up. She checked on the lesbian Beth. Cool. Lesbian Beth even told her it's not that big of a deal. I'm just going to remove myself for now. Cool. Beth come back to the table, and as like most Karens have to put her nose in somebody else's business. Because Beth, if you had such a problem with what David was doing, you didn't need to go see Lesbian Beth to call it out. You could have just called it out right then and there. David, can you not smoke at the table? If you had a problem with it. But see, you didn't have a problem with it until somebody else co-signed. Which was what your issue was with the rape word. You ain't want to start shouting out rape on camera until you heard Irene say it. And that's what most Karens do. They got their nose in some shit that ain't got nothing to do with them. Because Beth looked like somebody who would puff on a blunt. Out there in LA, everybody do it. I know. Damn near everybody smoke it. It's legal. So David picks up on game, the same game I picked up on. This ain't got nothing to do with you. Number one, the way she sat at the table, she said, David, can you not smoke weed at the table? Bitch, I ain't smoking weed. This a vape. It's tobacco. And bitch, Tammy, every scene Tammy in, she got one of them damn Virginia Slims in her face. Ain't nobody saying shit to Tammy. Now, Tammy wasn't smoking at the table. And I agree, David, you ain't have to smoke at the table. But at the end of the day, we outside. Ain't nobody got a problem sitting up around Tammy while she's smoking cigarette after cigarette after cigarette after cigarette. But when David is smoking, can you not do this? That's all that's just what pissed me off at first, because you come right to the scene knowing not everybody thinks smoking weed is cool. That might just be an Angie thing. It doesn't bother me if people do it. But some people look at weed like it's the gateway drug to hell. And to some people, it's still taboo. And she came right to the table. David, can you not smoke weed at the table? Bitch, I ain't smoking weed. What the fuck wrong with you? Now, if she would have came more calmly, David, can you not smoke at the table? I see what Beth is doing. I see what she was doing. And mind you, it was not her fight to fight, because if she didn't like it, she would have said something to David when he first did it. She wouldn't have need to go check on nobody to see what an issue is. But let's move on, because that was the first thing that pissed me off. And I think I'm talking ahead of my notes. Okay, yeah, I'm talking ahead of my notes. Okay, I see your comment, Dabu. We're going to get to it in 1 second. So David and Beth have it out. He calling her all kind of Karens, and I'm pointing at the TV like, show is. I ain't even mad at him for saying it. Now, I'm not a Beth fan, so maybe I have a little bit of a bias, but I wasn't mad at him for saying it. And David removed himself from the argument. He done. He already says, my daughter told me not to fuck with you. I don't trust that bitch. And I felt him when he said it. I wouldn't trust her either. Now, mind you, you shouldn't really trust Irene either. But I believe I said this in previous videos. What Irene did was wrong. It was more wrong because she was law enforcement and she knew what she was doing. But I do feel like Irene is the only one that was sincere in her apology. I don't even think Beth ever apologized. I think she kind of admitted, but she still pointing fingers. Well, you shouldn't have pulled the blanket. You shouldn't have did this. I wasn't really laughing. I don't see it for Beth. Now, Tammy wants to come around and be the peacemaker. She meets up with David. They have a conversation. And David just lets Tammy know, I don't fuck with Beth. I don't fuck with her. I don't trust her. I don't really want to be around her, but I'm doing this show. I signed the contract. Can y'all just let me be? Now, what Tammy did, I understood somebody has to mediate with David and Beth. And Tammy seems to be the only person that David really trusts to have a conversation with. But I didn't like how Tammy followed him all the way around that boat, especially forcing the conversation to where other people can hear what they were talking about. When David said, clearly, I don't fuck with her. I don't trust her. Let that be, Tammy. Tammy, let that be. When people were when you said you wasn't fucking with David and you ain't want to hug him or none of that, nobody forced you into it. They let y'all be. And whatever happened between you and David, y'all gradually came and squashed it. Now, at some point, David calms down. He comes back to Tammy and they say, okay, let's talk to Beth and let's squash it. Let's at least be cordial to each other while we got to do this show. Now, this is where your comment come in. Beth got to say whatever the fuck she had to say, and David listened. Now, I don't think he was agreeing with it, but he listened because he wanted to squash it and move on with the show. Beth wouldn't let David speak. Beth would not let him talk. Every time David, even if David wanted to say, bend over, let me kiss your ass, I apologize, he couldn't even say that because every time David said anything, Beth had to chime in. And like you all said earlier in the review, Beth has a way of wanting everything to be about her. When Beth didn't even have the problem, it was lesbian Beth's problem. It was lesbian Beth's, and the other Beth's way of dealing with it is removing herself. She says, I'm always in situations where people drink and they smoke. I remove myself so I don't be triggered. Now, then they go down a rabbit hole of Tammy being a responsible smoker. Bitch, I'm about to tell on myself, and I don't know who watching this. Forgive me if you watching and you ain't know. But back in the day, I used to smoke. It's a very bad habit. Please quit if you can. It's an awful habit, and I'm happy that I was able to stop. But I used to smoke cigarettes back in the day, especially in the car, because I used to have a cigarette on the way to work and a cigarette on the way home from work. It's a mess. It's addicting. Please stop smoking if you can. But back to the point at hand. Because I used to smoke, I know. You could roll that window down all you want. You could puff and blow it out the window all you want. That shit coming back in. It's coming back in. You could put your whole head out the window smoking a cigarette. The smoke is coming back in. So I don't care what bullshit Beth talking about. At least Tammy put her face out the window. Bitch, if you smoking a cigarette in the car, you smoking a cigarette in the car and everybody is smelling your cigarette. You talking about, well, Tammy smoke all the time, but if I want to talk to Tammy, I'll just sit over here. Bitch, if Tammy is smoking in your vicinity, you're smelling the cigarettes. So quit it with the Now, Tammy didn't smoke at the dinner table, and I don't want to just give David 100% pass. He get 99% pass. But miss me with the bullshit of, well, at least Tammy a respectable smoker. She put her head out the window. I'm ready to slap the bitch for you, David. I'm ready to. Like, miss me with it. Because the point I feel like that pissed David off wasn't that you asked him not to smoke at the table. I think what really caused David not to trust you is you went in with a bullet. Don't smoke weed at the table without even knowing what the fuck he was doing. Majority of vape pens are not marijuana. They are tobacco. And smoking a damn vape pen. Now, I don't smoke vape pens, so I don't know about the chemicals involved, but I have been around people who do smoke vape pens. The smoke from a vape pen smells better than all them fucking Virginia Slims Tammy puffing on. Like, I'd rather be around vape smoke than all that Virginia Slim smoke. But that's just Angie. And I'm probably telling too much of my business, so let's move on. I got through that. Oh, now this is what killed me. After the conversation is squashed, and David is kind of like, look, can we just be cordial, finish filming with each other, and chill out? You don't say shit to me, I ain't gonna say shit to you. They agreed. Tammy talking about, now, David, when you go downstairs, can you pick up all the eggshells you want us to walk on? Tammy, that was a good line. That was a good line, Tammy, but the only one that should be walking on eggshells is Beth. I don't feel like David got beef with anybody else. I really don't. And I feel like y'all are, and I wasn't there, and I don't want to put on my cape for David. But I just, from the way the show is going, episode after episode after episode, I feel like everyone is trying to get some kind of reaction out of David. They want to make him a drunk. Now he on here high smoking weed. Now we don't know. We done already fucked. Let's call it what it is. We done already fucked up his life, calling him a rapist on national TV, making his life way harder than it had to be. But now that we apologize, we gonna pretend like, oh, his fucked up life might not, what we did to him fucking up his life might not lead to somebody wanting to drink and smoke some weed. But because he is drinking too much and smoking weed, we gonna spotlight that. We gonna poke, because Beth was poking him. When you cut people off after they already asked you to let them speak, which means they've already identified what you're doing, and you continuously do it, you're poking at them. You want him to go angry black man at you all over again, so you can be like, see, he is angry. See, he do got a problem. And I don't like that everybody is doing it to him. And I don't like, because I called it last week. I said the only one Tammy gonna call her husband on is David. I don't know what David does to Tammy, but I don't like that you involve Reggie. You want Reggie to come fight Tammy. I just really feel like by the end of this, they just want everybody to hate David all over again. Yeah, we called you a rapist. We fucked up your career. But look, you still a drunk. You still want to get high. You still got us walking on the eggshells. Like, well, bitch, give him a minute. I wouldn't trust y'all bitches neither. And that's it. Glenn went through a story of, a very sad story of his girlfriend, who he calls his wife number 2, of passing away 2 years ago. And ever since she passed away, he no longer is open to love. Love died with her, is what he said. It's a lot more to the story. I don't know if we ever get Glenn to open up 100% about it. It sounded a little suicidal, the hints he threw out there, but I don't want to put nothing on nobody I don't know. But I hope Glenn opens up and just talks about it and shares. The rest of the little homecoming stuff looks good. It looks like it's how many episodes is this? This look like it's gonna be good. It looked like David about to work a couple more people nerves. Like I said, Reggie coming up in the house looking for him. David is kind of like, well, where you at? I'm here. Where's Reggie? It looks like a very interesting season. I'm going to be here for it. Now, this comes out on Wednesday nights. And I'm thinking now that Survivor and the regular challenge is off, this can fill my Thursday night slot instead of pushing it all the way to Friday. What y'all feel about that? I don't know how many more episodes it's going to be. I'm assuming at least 8 to 10 episodes because it looked like a lot more drama is about to unfold. So I might switch the real world to Thursday nights, put that in that slot. You all know next Thursday is game night for the trio. We're going to have a good time on my channel playing challenge related games, and we're going to talk about the reunion a little bit, but we mostly going to have fun before the holidays. And then the week after that week after Christmas, I'm out of town, so I won't be doing any videos that week, and probably that weekend I'll be catching them all up because I'll still be off, but I won't be in town where my equipment is to actually do the videos. So that'll be the schedule. And then Sunday on Drew's channel, we're going to be going over the whole season overview of the challenge on Drew's channel. I believe it's going to be the trio and a few more people that Drew invited. But Eric, you said, I see what you mean about David. They keep digging and digging. They won't let the man be at peace. They really won't. And I mean, if he want to be a drunk, as long as he's not being an angry drunk and fighting you, let that man drink. See, y'all got an issue with not minding your business. Not minding your business. I don't care if people drink. I don't care if people smoke. I don't care if you get drunk, because guess what? I'm having me a Christmas party tomorrow night, and I'm going to get plenty of drunk. That's the whole point of the party. All the friends come together, and we release. As long as ain't nobody no angry drunk fighting, as long as ain't nobody drinking and driving and endangering other people, I say mind your business. And all that liquor y'all had in the house, y'all look like some drunks too. But that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's the end of this episode, you all. I'm getting ready to do one more live. I'm getting ready to do Selling Tampa. It's going to be a short live because I only watched episode 1. So I'm only going to really give my opinion about the cast and a little bit of lead up of episode 1. But I am going to start reviewing Selling Tampa. That's a new Netflix show. I used to review Selling Sunset, but that ain't got nothing to do with this. But you all, I'm thinking about moving this review to Thursday nights to fill up that spot since this comes out on Wednesdays. And we'll have a good time on Thursdays talking about the real world. So thank you all so much for coming out and watching this live. We had a good time in the chat. If you're on the rewatch, please get in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this week's episode of The Homecoming LA. And go ahead and like this video. If it's your first time with your girl Angie, Kiss My Cheeks TV, please subscribe. I usually do all of the reality shows, definitely all the competition shows. I love a good competition. So go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you all next week. Bye.